Welcome back, YouTube. It's been a minute, but I wanted to provide a quick update video on my 2020 Acura TLX. This is the car that longtime viewers will remember replaced my beloved 2012 Honda Accord Coupe when that car succumbed to, a decade of northeast winters, salt, brine, snow, all of which led to rust and a constant need to repair items that were wearing out. The engine and transmission of that car was still great, but a lot of other work was having to go to keep it on the road, so I made the decision to replace it at the end of September of 2023. And I bought this certified pre-owned Acura TLX at Bill Vince's Bridgewater Acura. So I just wanted to give you some updates on it and talk about how it's holding up. Overall, the car is in pretty good shape. One of the realities of buying a pre-owned car was that the paint work on this car when I bought it was not perfect, and it's my daily driver. So despite my best efforts, it does take a beating. Rocks, stone chips, road debris, it all kicks up every day on the highway and ends up leading to dings and nicks in the paint, which, one of the downsides of buying black paint is that it shows everything. But overall, I try to keep it in as good a shape as possible, and my best friend is the Acura brand touch-up paint pen to keep the paint as blemish-free as possible. One of the things that does drive me up a wall is careless drivers. If you look closely, you can see some blemishes in the paint from another driver at my job who didn't cut the wheel enough, and so scraped up my paint and left without leaving a note. Lovely. Couple items like that here and there, some dings on my mirrors. Nothing I lose sleep about. This I can get touched up easily enough, same with the paint in the mirrors, but the joys of daily driving your primary machine, right? You're going to have some dents and damage happen, so just try to keep on top of it as best you can. The engine bay is a little dirtier than the last time you saw it. This is just 22,000 miles of good, honest use. I will clean this before the end of the summer. It's not awful, but just a bit dustier and dirtier than I'd like. This engine is fantastic, but let's start with the elephant in the room, which is the big recalls that have affected a lot of different Honda and Acura products, V6 motor products specifically. There was a recall for the crankshaft, that the bearings were out of spec and could lead to engine damage. This car was not in the affected range. Its engine is fine. There was also an issue with fuel pumps being faulty. Again, this car not affected, where other Acura TLXs were. So just stuff to keep an eye on. These things happen. Certainly I'm glad my car dodged those bullets, but overall the engine's been great. 290 horsepower. It's the most powerful engine of a production car I've ever owned. It's also phenomenally fuel efficient. I can't speak enough of how well it does at the gas pump. For a car that does take premium, I'm averaging 34, 35 miles to gallon on the highway. I don't know what I'm doing right or wrong, but I'm thrilled with the fuel economy overall. So yeah, all right, let's move on inside. Before I hop in and turn the car on, I just wanted to show you the interior is in amazing shape. Whereas the exterior, when I bought it, I knew I was buying a car with some dings and some paint chips here and there, but the interior is spotless. I have spent some time detailing it, really cleaning it thoroughly, and so I'm really happy with the way the interior has remained. Good quality, it looks nice, and so it's comfortable. But let's get inside and take a closer look. Welcome aboard the Acura TLX. This has been my driver's perch for the last 22,000 plus miles. I bought this car with about 18,600 on it. Now I am, as you can see, over 40,000 miles. I thought this would be a good time to do a check-in, given that I've really had some time to spend with this car. I've taken it on long road trips. It went down to the H-Day Festival, the Honda and Acura Owners Festival in Maryland, Southern Maryland, in April. It's been up to the Adirondacks of upstate New York. It's been to 8 states so far, 22,000 miles, so it's nowhere near its predecessor in terms of road trip warrior, but it's been a good start. Overall, interior is super comfortable. These seats are the most comfortable seats I've ever had in a car. The driving position's excellent. Does have safety features to help you as you're driving, frontal collision warning, blind spot monitoring, and I actually think I would have a hard time going back to a car without them. I really do appreciate the extra safety security. In terms of the center stack here, we have all the typical controls. I appreciate that you still have physical buttons on this car for the essential controls like volume, for your stereo, on-off for your stereo, on-off and basic controls for the climate system. Yes, there's some touch screen controls, but I really like not having to play with a giant iPad while I'm driving. I like physical buttons. And I hope more car manufacturers take note of this in the future. I recently sat in a family member's new Ford Escape, and I was shocked at how few buttons there are, how it's all just primarily touch screen control, and just how much easier it is to manipulate controls in this car. Other items that, I've come to understand and love, and some not love. So the brake hold feature, I adore. If you turn that on, you can actually let go of the brake when you come to a stop to give your leg and foot a rest. And when you're in stop and go traffic all the time, it's heavenly. I do turn off the auto stop start. With the amount I drive, having the starter motor engage all the time, constantly when I'm starting, stopping, I don't know what that's going to do for the longevity of the car starter motor, so I leave that off all the time. The one area of this car I really haven't gotten a handle on yet is the shifter, the shift button controls. A couple of months ago, I was given a loaner Acura Integra when I took my car into the dealership for some work, and I found how much I missed having an actual just gear shift. The buttons work, but I just miss the familiarity of a gear shift. Other item to mention, Apple CarPlay is fantastic. I don't have it engaged right now because I'm recording on my phone. But the fact that I have my phone essentially integrated into my stereo, I don't need to take my eyes off the road. I can control with either this knob or with my voice. Really is a powerful way to connect to essential functions like the map, like podcasts, different functions, like you're even calling people is easier. So I really do appreciate the CarPlay integration. One aspect of this car that has greatly impressed me has been the stereo, honestly. It's the nicest from the factory stereo system I've ever had. Acura partnered with a company called ELS to build the stereo system. The sound reproduction quality is amazing. If you want crystal clear sound like you're in a classical music hall, it can do that. If you want to pump up the volume and pump up the bass like you're in a nightclub or you're at a rock concert, it'll do that too. I've been really happy with it. I know Acura's moved to a different company for their sound system, and I'll have to try that out, but this one really is fantastic. Big fan of the ELS system. A couple items of this car that I really like, one of which is the dynamic mode driving function. So there are 4 different dynamic modes that change the handling of the car. Sport and Sport Plus give you a much more aggressive throttle response, tighter steering, more immediate downshifts. Econ really focuses on fuel economy, and Normal is what I usually use, and it's just a good all-around balance for driving. One area where this car is phenomenal is with its super handling all-wheel drive system. It is a tank in the snow. I have never driven as good of a vehicle in the snow aside from my wife's Jeep Grand Cherokee. I took this out in a snowstorm coming home from work this past winter, and this thing was beastly. Between the Nokian tires and the 4-wheel drive system, the only thing stopping this car is just ground clearance. Otherwise, it was deeply impressive. It's also makes the car much more responsive in curves. The 4-wheel drive system will rotate you around a turn. It's really impressive, and you feel safe and secure despite being able to really stay in the throttle and accelerate through your turns. So I hope you've enjoyed this brief overview of my 2020 Acura TLX. I will keep you posted in the future. Thanks for coming along the ride, and see you soon.